Welcome back to Mzansi Best Brands. If you've been following, last time we dove into the rich history of Pernod Ricard and its formation for total dominance. Today we shift our focus to another global powerhouse in the premium spirits industry, Diageo. Whether it's a celebration, a night out, or just unwinding with friends, chances are a Diageo brand is right there with you. Let's get filled up. Diageo is one of the world's leading premium drinks companies with over 200 brands, sold in nearly 180 countries, and yes, that includes South Africa. Since the early 2000s, Diageo has been especially active in acquiring established and new businesses in the beverages market. Seagram's spirits and wine businesses were acquired by Diageo in 2001 for $100 million. Diageo purchased 50% of the Don Julio tequila brand from Jose Cuervo during 2003. A deal worth $2.1 billion was reached in February 2011 for Diageo to acquire May Iki, a Turkish liquor company. Diageo acquired Ipioca, Brazil's largest-selling premium cachaça brand, for £300 million in May 2012. Diageo announced in June 2012 that it would invest $1 billion over the next 5 years in Scotch whisky production. Diageo acquired a 53.4% stake in Indian spirits company United Spirits in November 2012 for £1.28 billion. Jose Cuervo acquired full ownership of the Don Julio tequila brand and Bushmills Irish whiskey for $408 million from Diageo in November 2014. United National Breweries, UNB, is a South African brewery owned by Diageo. In April 2015, Diageo acquired 100% of UNB, but the company later decided to sell it. Treasury Wine Estates bought Diageo's wine business in October 2015. In 2015, Stauning, a Danish whiskey brand, announced an investment of $10 million from Diageo to allow it to expand production. Campari Group purchased Grand Marnier cognac and bitter orange liqueur in March 2016. From Johnnie Walker to Tanqueray, Baileys and Captain Morgan, Diageo's portfolio in South Africa is nothing short of impressive. A lot sets Diageo apart. Let's take a closer look. Maryland's Baltimore County was selected as the site of a Guinness brewery and tourist attraction. As many as 300,000 visitors could be hosted each year at the brewery, which could create 70 new jobs. Diageo acquired the Casamigos brand of tequila in June 2017, a super premium tequila from the US. A limited edition bottle of Diageo's 12-year-old black label blended whiskey, Jane Walker instead of Johnnie Walker, went on sale in February of 2018. A striding woman appeared on the label instead of the usual top-hatted man. Diageo sold 11 brands, including Seagram's 83, Seagram's VO, Popov Vodka, Booth's Gin, Goldschlager, Yukon Jack, and Sambuca to the Sazerac Company for about $550 million in November 2018. An offer that Diageo made during February increased its stake in Chinese Baijiu company, Sichuan Shuijing Fang Company Limited, SJF, to almost 70%. A non-alcoholic spirits company, Seedlip, was purchased by Diageo in August 2019. Diageo paid $5 million to settle charges that the company pressured distributors to purchase more products than demand to meet performance targets brought by the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Diageo isn't just about premium drinks. Here in South Africa, they've positioned themselves as a leader in responsible drinking and community development. Their corporate social investment programs are aimed at promoting responsible drinking and creating thriving communities. For instance, Diageo's local efforts include educational campaigns to reduce alcohol misuse and drunk driving. They've even been featured in CSI, the human face of business, for their impactful initiatives, showing just how committed they are to being a force for good in communities. It's clear that Diageo believes in giving back while also creating top-notch experiences for its consumers. But that's not all. Now let's talk about the history that brought us here. Modern-day Diageo was formed in 1998 after the merging of Guinness and Grand Metropolitan was announced in 1997. Diageo sold its Windsor whiskey brand to a South Korean company in 2017 as part of a divestment strategy. Diageo completed the acquisition of Davide Campari Milano's shares in Aperol and Campari in 2020, expanding its global portfolio. Diageo acquired the American bourbon brand Pinnacle in 2021 and announced its expansion into the no and low alcohol category. The name Diageo comes from the Latin word for didia and the Greek word for word geo. In 2016, Diageo ranked 11th out of 4,255 companies worldwide for diversity and inclusiveness in the Thomson Reuters Diversity and Inclusion (D&I) Index. The company employs almost 28,000 people. Diageo has 132 sites globally with headquarters in London. Grand Metropolitan plc was originally a leisure, manufacturing and property conglomerate headquartered in England. The company was listed on the London Stock Exchange and was a constituent of the FTSE 100 index until it merged with Guinness plc to form Diageo in 1997. The business began in 1934 as a hotel business called MRMA Limited, which was abbreviated from Mount Royal Metropolitan Association. Grand Hotels, Mayfair Limited, a business founded after World War II by Maxwell Joseph, merged with MRMA in 1957, and the combined business expanded rapidly under Joseph's leadership. It was first listed on the London Stock Exchange in 1961 and changed its name to Grand Metropolitan Hotels Limited in 1962. Grand Metropolitan Hotels Limited had subsidiaries that covered a broad base of consumer products and services, including hotels, casinos, breweries, dairies, distilleries, and healthcare services. Maxwell Joseph, the founder of Grand Metropolitan Hotels Limited, encouraged the rapid growth of his company by supporting acquisitions in profitable fields. Its diversification has been indicative of the company's quest for maximum profits and maximum control of selected markets. Of the varied acquisitions, the Truman-Hanburg deal was the most significant because it was Grand Metropolitan Hotels Limited's first brewery. This particular acquisition also involved the largest takeover deal in Britain up to that time. The purchase price amounted to £400 million. Seeking a financially equivalent takeover in 1972, Joseph purchased the Watney Man Brewery. His purchase of Watney was fully justified in terms of company strategy. Grand Metropolitan Hotels Limited already had a 49% stake in Carlsberg, a Danish brewer. Through these new acquisitions, the group held on to quite a few alcoholic beverage brands, including J&B Whiskey, Bailey's Irish Cream, Gilbey's Gin, Piat Wine, Croft Sherry, and Smirnoff Vodka. To reflect the change in direction and the rapid expansion of the company, it was renamed Grand Metropolitan in 1973. The company learned that it had to send special advisors into foreign countries in order to establish partnerships and gain a share of the market, and to reposition itself for a more careful acquisition strategy. By 1982, Grand Metropolitan owned 66 hotels in Europe and the Middle East. The continued involvement of the Monopolies Commission in Grand Metropolitan's affairs brought to light an increasingly urgent shortcoming in the company's position. With nearly 90% of its profits generated domestically, Grand Metropolitan would face other charges of monopoly control over certain markets if it continued to invest in British enterprises. Guinness has been a stout that originated in the brewery of Arthur Guinness at St. James's Gate, Dublin, Ireland, in the 18th century. It is one of the most successful alcohol brands worldwide, brewed in almost 50 countries. Sales in 2011 amounted to 850 million litres. In spite of declining consumption since 2001, it is the best-selling alcoholic drink in Ireland, where Guinness and Company Brewery makes almost €2 billion worth of beer annually. Guinness Stout is made from water, barley, roast malt extract, hops and brewer's yeast. A portion of the barley is roasted to give Guinness its dark colour and characteristic taste. It is pasteurised and filtered. Arthur Guinness started brewing ales in 1759 at the St. James's Gate Brewery, Dublin. On 31st December 1759, he signed a 9,000-year lease at £45 per annum for the unused brewery. 10 years later, on 19th of May 1769, Guinness first exported his ale. He shipped 6.5 barrels to Great Britain. Guinness's flavour derives from malted barley and roasted unmalted barley. The unmalted barley is a relatively modern addition that became part of the grist in the mid-20th century. For many years, a portion of aged brew was blended with freshly brewed beer to give a sharp lactic acid flavour. Although Guinness's palate still features a characteristic tang, the company has refused to confirm whether this type of blending still occurs. The draft beer's thick, creamy head comes from mixing the beer with nitrogen and carbon dioxide. Arthur Guinness started selling the dark beer porter in 1778. The first Guinness beers to use the term stout were single stout and double stout in the 1840s. Throughout the bulk of its history, Guinness produced only 3 variations of a single beer type: porter or single stout, double or extra and foreign stout for export. Stout originally referred to a beer's strength, but eventually shifted meaning toward body and color. In October 1886, Guinness became a public company and was averaging sales of 1.138 million barrels a year. By 1914, Guinness was producing 2.652 million barrels of beer a year, which was more than double that of its nearest competitor, Bass, and was supplying more than 10% of the total UK beer market. In 1930, it was one of the 7 largest companies in the world. In the early 1960s, the company switched from wooden to aluminum kegs. Sales declined in the 1970s, so the original recipe was changed to use pale malt, and the process was refined with isomerized hop extracts. Guinness acquired the Distillers Company in 1986. This led to a scandal and criminal trial concerning the artificial inflation of the Guinness share price during the takeover bid engineered by the chairman, Ernest Saunders. A subsequent £5.2 million success fee paid to an American lawyer and Guinness director, Tom Ward, was the subject of the case Guinness plc v Saunders, in which the House of Lords declared that the payment had been invalid. Guinness has maintained as a separate entity within Diageo and has retained the rights to the product and all associated trademarks of Guinness. Guinness focused exclusively on alcoholic beverages, and in addition to its brewery, repeatedly acquired beverage companies that complemented its existing portfolio. The Grand Metropolitan took a different approach, initially offering accommodation services before entering the food and beverage business. However, both markets had complemented the hotel's product range very well. Founded in 1997, Diageo was formed by the merger of these companies, Guinness and Grand Metropolitan. Even though the companies, Guinness and Grand Metropolitan, were rivals for years, it was the friendship of their leaders that made the idea for the merger possible. $15.8 billion was a record amount at the time, making the company the 7th largest drinks and food holding organization globally. Diageo South Africa was established in 2015, however. The brands have been popular across the country for more than a century. Today, Diageo has a world-class portfolio of global and local brands across all categories, from ready-to-drink and mainstream spirits to international premium spirits. In recent years, a new trend has emerged: the acquisition of companies co-owned by well-known personalities. Diageo has not only bought a market, a profit, a new product and a new brand, but for a handsome sum it has also allowed well-known players to participate in marketing. Thanks to a portfolio shakeout before and immediately after the merger, the group no longer owns any hotels, pubs or restaurant chains and has sold most of its non-core business. However, the remaining portfolio is easily manageable and consists solely of alcoholic beverages, which can be sold both directly and indirectly to wholesalers. According to Diageo's LinkedIn profile, nearly 1/3 of its employees work in sales, which is above average. The company's sales team is made up of several departments that work in groups by country and region, as well as by product range and customers. Diageo knows how to build brands that resonate with people. They've tapped into South African tastes, making sure their products are a natural fit for everything from your weekend braai to upscale cocktail lounges. From Port Elizabeth to Pretoria, Diageo's brands are enjoyed by millions of South Africans every year and include world-famous names like Johnnie Walker, Tanqueray and Smirnoff, 1818. So next time you're out with friends, keep an eye out for those iconic labels and know that behind them is a company deeply committed to both quality and the community. Thanks for watching. In our next episode, we'll dive into the story of Heineken and how they've made their mark here in Mzansi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of Mzansi Best Brands. Time will tell.